Good morning, class 12th. Welcome to business study period. Today we are doing the topic controlling process, the last topic of this chapter. In process, whatever chapter is there, whenever we ask to write process, we have to go stepwise. You cannot skip any step. What is to be done in controlling process? Number one, setting up of standards or the targets. What is the meaning of standards? Standard means the targets you want to achieve. What are your goal? What is your ultimate end? Where do you want to reach? If standards are not there, how it could be possible for us to compare the actual result with the standards? While preparing the standards or target, we must take care into mind these standards must be achievable. Very high standards or targets should not be kept because they could not be achieved. Then what is the use of wastage of time? While we decide the standards or target, we must see the availability of the resources which are there in the organization. So this is the first step, setting up of the standards. When we decide the standards, we must decide the time limit also. During what duration we have to achieve these targets. If long run standards are fixed, then it is advisable to divide those long term standards into short term. Here a very nice example is given. Suppose we have a target of achieving the sale of rupees 12 lakh for a year, then let us divide that 12 lakh rupees per annum sale into 1 lakh rupees per month. Every month we will be getting the sale of rupees 1 lakh. If we are keeping this short target, so at the end of every month we can see whether we are reaching towards our target or not. That's why time limit must be decided. Targets can be like in production function, achieving the production of 10,000 units. Standard cost per unit will be 10, reduction in wastage of resources by 5%. These are targets of production department. In the same way, for marketing function, target can be selling of 1 lakh units per month, increase in market share by 10%, increase in advertisement cost by 10%, and so on. This is the first step. Now the second step in controlling process is measuring of the performance. We will measure what we have achieved, what work has done by the employees of that particular department. Now it is to be evaluated, it is to be counted, it is to be computed. While measuring the performance, measuring the task done by the employees, both quantitative as well as qualitative aspect must be taken into account. If only quantitative aspect is achieved, that is whatever quantity we were supposed to produce already produced, but quality did not taken into consideration, then what is the use of achieving that quantitative aspect? That's why while measuring the performance, quantitative as well qualitative performance must be taken into account. Like performance of a manager can be measured by looking the overall efficiency in the organization. The performance of a research and technology department can be measured by see what new changes that particular department brought in technology and how that upgradation of production technology has done. The financial department performance can be measured by checking the solvency and liquidity ratio. Are we able to pay our all short term and long term liabilities within stipulated period or not? That is all about measuring the performances. After measuring the performances, now the performance is compared with standards. कि जो काम हमने शुरू में डिसाइड किया था, जो टारगेट अचीव करने के लिए सोचा था, that target has achieved or not. In order to check that, we will be comparing our actual performance with the standard performance. And then let us see whether deviations are coming or not. that is comparing. Then after comparing, we will see there can be positive deviation or there can be negative deviation, that is analyzing deviation. Positive deviation means more work has done than actually decided or fixed, and negative deviation means what the target were fixed that could not be achieved. Suppose we decided to produce 100 units a day or a month and we could produce only 80 or 90, that is negative deviation. Now when deviations comes, we have to decide who is going to take care for this deviation, whether top management will look after this deviation or those deviation can be sorted out at the same place where they occurred by that particular department. For this, there are two categories to control it. Number one, critical point control. What is the meaning of critical point control? This technique says that let us decide some key areas, that is important areas, and if there is any deviation in those key areas or in those important areas, then those deviation must be attended urgently. हम पहले कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट एरियाज डिसाइड करेंगे कि हाँ ये इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया है, यहाँ हमें बहुत ज़्यादा ध्यान रखना है, और फिर अगर उसी एरिया में गड़बड़ आती है तो वी हैव टू टेक केयर फॉर दोज डेविएशन इमीडिएटली विदाउट वेस्टिंग टाइम. A very nice example is given over here, like production department found that the cost of per unit product is increasing by 5 rupees per unit, and whereas the postal card cost is increasing by 20 rupees. So here which is the important area? Production cost, not the postal cost, because increase in production cost will affect our profitability of the company. So here key area is production cost, that has to be taken care immediately. Postal cost is not that important in comparison of production cost, number one, and number two, postal costs are not in our hand. We cannot control the cost. We can only curtail the use of postal, that's only. The next technique is management by exception. What is the meaning of management by exception? It means manager should not try to control each and everything in the organization. If a manager does so, then he will not be able to do anything. He will not be able to control anything. When whatever deviations are there, a range is to be decided. If the deviation comes beyond this range, then only the manager will take care for those deviations. Otherwise, if deviations are within that range, either they are to be ignored or they are to be taken care by that particular department only. For example, if production increases by cost increase by 2 rupees, it can be ignored, but if it increases by more than 2 rupees, then manager has immediately come into action. Why the production cost increasing beyond 2 rupees? So this is known as management by exception. If we follow this management by exception, it will save our time and efforts of manager. It focuses attention of manager on important matters. There will be no wastage of time and energy of manager to solve routine problems. Those routine problems can be solved by subordinates, and it differentiates between critical and simple problems. Next step is taking corrective measure. Now whatever deviations came out, those negative deviation, now the concerned department will take care and will make a plan how to overcome those deviations so that those deviation does not occur in the future. That's why a corrective measure is to be taken. Corrective measure may be involving, number one, let the situation remain same if deviations are minor. Redesign the plan or strategy if there are overstated or that not matching with the present environment, and taking correct measure to improve the performance so that in future the target can be achieved easily. Generally, the manager take cares to improve the performance, such as sending the employees for training if deviations are due to inefficient performance. अगर inefficient performance की वजह से होते हैं तो उसको दूर करने के लिए एम्प्लॉयज़ को ट्रेनिंग पे भेजा जा सकता है. getting the machine repaired done immediately if deviation is there due to fault of machine, making the supervisor responsible for that. If delay is due to carelessness and laziness of the employees, sometime manager have to set the standards and targets again if standards are not realistic. Then all these things are to be taken into account while taking the corrective measures of those deviations. And the last step in deviation is in controlling process is feedback in controlling. Feedback is essential. Once the entire process has done, corrective measure has done, then a feedback report is to be prepared by that particular department. What were the standard, what were the actual performance, and these were the deviations, and these deviations were due to these problems, or what were the causes of those deviation, and what corrective measures has taken by the management to overcome those deviations so that those deviation does not occur in the future. A complete detailed report is to be prepared, feedback report is to be prepared. So this is all known as controlling process, a very important topic. As we were talking again and again, positive and negative deviation. So these are positive. Plan 100 units, actual production 120. So we produce 20 units more than planned. And negative deviation, plan 100 units, produce 80, then negative deviation is 80. So this was the chapter controlling. Thank you very much.